Hey there people, it's me, Waifu Belector, the only fair human on earth, and I am sick. Sick as a dog. I've been sick for days now, my whole body aches. I got lightheaded just from scrubbing myself in the shower. But you know what they say, the show must go on. So bear with me if I sound a little off or unenthusiastic. But anyway, today I wanted to talk about an interesting little blurb of info we received some days ago regarding an agreement between the developers People Can Fly and Sony. I just want to take a look at what this agreement is and what it could mean, if anything. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Remember to give the video a like if you end up enjoying and consider subscribing. Alright, let's go. Now, there aren't a ton of details about this deal, but we can still make some guesses based on what little we know. Sony has signed a stipulated agreement that would have People Can Fly working on a prototype build of a game codenamed Project Delta. And we know that Project Delta is an existing Sony IP. So right there, we're given something to work with. But then we also just simply have to remember who People Can Fly are. They've developed games like Bulletstorm and Outriders, as well as co-developed the divisive Gears of War Judgment. So we see what kind of games they make. And it's not that hard to imagine which of Sony's IP they might end up using. However, before we speculate on that, it's important to remember that Project Delta is a prototype phase game, and that this agreement has stipulations. This likely means that for all intents and purposes, this will be a proving ground for what People Can Fly can do. Who knows what the timetable is? I'm gonna make one up, but Sony is gonna tell them, hey, you think you can make a cool game with this IP? People Can Fly say, no duh, we can. So they sign an agreement with the stipulation being that after, let's say, a year and a half or something, People Can Fly would show their work, present the prototype build, and if it isn't to Sony's liking, the entire project can be terminated. And I would think that something like this is not only to test the quality of what People Can Fly can do, but also their speed and just overall efficiency. But here's the thing, we're talking about a prototyping build that is probably a good while from even being complete. And if all goes well, Sony will see it complete and then fully greenlight the project. And then Project Delta goes into full production. So my point is, whatever this is, it's likely a long way off. We've probably got at least 6 months to a year and a half before even the prototype build is done, so a full game won't be coming anytime soon. And there's kinda the elephant in the room because, as I said, we see what type of games People Can Fly make, mostly multiplayer shooters, so clearly Sony would be using them to continue their pursuit of live service. And while that isn't surprising, we've talked about it a lot, I'm sure some people will still be automatically annoyed to hear it. But again, this is gonna be a while. This is a PlayStation 6 game, really, assuming it actually materializes. And I'm sure Sony already has some big single player titles set to be PS6 games, so possibly reviving a dormant IP while simultaneously diving back into the multiplayer space would look good alongside everything, you know? Now, what IP could People Can Fly be working with? Well, I think everyone's brain goes to Resistance and Killzone. Those are the obvious franchises that People Can Fly would fit well into. And when you think of their first-person games, really just Bulletstorm, it feels like Resistance would make more sense than Killzone. And as some people pointed out, Delta means 4, and this is Project Delta, and a new Resistance game would technically be Resistance 4. Although I say technically because it's more likely that it'd be a reboot, not a direct sequel to the 14-year-old Resistance 3. But still, between Outriders and their co-development of Gears Judgment, as well as E-Day currently, I more associate People Can Fly with third person, and that has me wondering if maybe one of these IP would be swapped to third person. a third-person Killzone or Resistance. Personally, I think a third-person Killzone could be really fucking cool, but Sony really doesn't have any first-person games, so maybe they wouldn't want to change the old ones that they do have when they bring them back, you know? But there are a lot of questions other than just first or third person. Just generally, what kind of game would this be? We'd assume it'll have multiplayer, but it's possible it could just be a solo campaign shooter like Doom or Wolfenstein. I mean, that would more so fit into what PlayStation is currently, but not what they're trying to become. So it's probably still a safe bet that this will have prominent multiplayer. But still, you have to ask what kind. Because it can be a shooter with a campaign and competitive multiplayer like Gears or Call of Duty, or it can be a cooperative looter shooter like People Can Fly made with Outriders. There's really a lot of ways that this could go, but assuming it all goes through, at least one of these old franchises will be getting revived. And of course, our original Killzone and Resistance devs are far too busy nowadays. Guerrilla Games with Horizon and Insomniac with Spider-Man and Marvel stuff. So it's safe to assume their old franchises could get handed off to someone else. But yeah, I just thought this was a bit interesting. People Can Fly is a good studio. I thought Outriders was a pretty underrated game. I think with the Sony budget and IP, they might actually show out and get some shine, but we'll see. There are a ton of variables to this. Anyway, that's all my fuzzy sick brain can muster up. Thank you for watching if you got this far. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I do videos about gaming and the games industry every week without fail, even when I'm sick and dying. So if that sounds good, make sure you subscribe. Even if you don't though, thanks for watching, and until next time, I am Waifu Belector. I am just a normal guy. I like hentai, and I hate being sick. Goodbye.